I have 10 years ago founded the Escola Schumacher Brasil, inspired by my experience at Schumacher, and a lot of that experience started with entering into situations where I didn't start with a plan.
We're here in Brazil. We just spent a few days with RNA, and we had our fellowships of researchers, fellowships from Schumacher Society. And we know the titles of each other's work. What is the title of your work?
Before Sensing Becomes a Something. Writing with the bodily experience of liminality in processes of social organizing.
Okay. And would you like to unpack that title a little bit?
In process of social organizing, where we have this drive for clarity, and we first need to have clear sense of where we're going. We plan as much as we can, as close as we can to the actions, and then we feel okay, we can go and act together. And I always felt this is very different to how real life happens, and new possibilities. And so suppose that's my starting point, and I start with the disquiets that I had when working this way. I was met with questions that completely dislocated and reminded me that this was that the way we were working was not usual, was not common, let's say. So questions like when someone asked me and a colleague who founded Escola with me, Mari, and we were in a meeting, and the partner of Escola asked, "So, Mari and Juliana, is what's happening with Escola what you wanted to happen?" And we both felt like we couldn't quite find the words to answer, because we didn't have a desire or we want this to happen. It was the early stages also. So we were really paying attention to what happened and moving with that, and not projecting a lot, like what we wanted to happen. We're really working with the possibilities we saw happening in our terrain of exchanges, collaborations, meetings with other people. And we realized that there was something implied in that question, that first we have a vision, and then we go to and see how we then achieve it. And that was very different to how we work. I suppose the space we create for ourselves to inquire in the research and action community, that's something that I really, respect, and I feel that I find it very rare. This space, I really value this. So the space where we can really stay in the unknown together, and we can sustain that space, which doesn't mean it's a complete unknown, like you are completely in the dark. But you begin to see, maybe you were in a dark room, but then you begin to see, after you spend some time there, you begin to see a little more of like shades, and your sight begins to, and suddenly things begin to illuminate. So my research starts with those scenes where scenes of experiences of that I call discomfort. I could have called also dislocation, or where I feel something doesn't sit right and I can't quite. And I bring them to the writing, and through the writing I begin to unveil for myself even what was so difficult in that, and what does that reveal about the practice of disorientation to practice that does not follow that does not follow plans. That's a simplistic way of putting it. How do we pay attention to experiences that are at the edge of articulation, the edge of language, so that they can come to articulation? But how do we become better at responding to experiences, to aspects that we are noticing in a scene that are not yet available cognitively? So I ask, can we become more able? That's my research question. Can we become more able to notice and respond to these earliest unnamed bodily sensations in the midst of working? So the starting point is experience, but then it draws on bodies of literature, bodies of work that have been tackling this question and drawing on some, expanding others. So I draw on different strands, but one of them very present is the work of Henry Bartow, the phenomenology, and asking how do we move upstream to notice the arising of experience rather than staying with our retrospective accounts. So how can we write, and this is my finding, if one could call it this way, because we don't work with the usual sense of research results, but what comes, we could say an output of my research is to propose a writing approach that starts from the body, noticing the sensations in the body, and all that are arising, that are bringing those responses, to be able to expand this territory of the perception and sensations. So writing from writing narratives, reliving narratives through writing, in order to bring attention to these experiences that go by so fast when we're experiencing them, almost like enlarging and being able to zoom in on those moments, to then gain a capacity to grow muscles. So then when we find ourselves living through those moments, our capacity is enlarged to respond to them, because we've trained this muscle through the writing.